Hello and welcome to this unboxing of Battlefront Flames of War's newest starter kit called Hit the Beach, the complete World War II starter set. Now they did have one a few years back called Open Fire, and that was also a pretty complete kit, but this is updated for version 4 of the rules. Now in the box containment, on the back of the box here, it tells you what it contains. Essentially you have the core of an American tank company, where you have the HQ unit, you have 2 platoons of Sherman tanks, and you have a platoon of American paratroopers. On the Germans, you have the core forces for a Panzer Grenadier company, which you have your HQ, you have 2 platoons, you have 2 75mm anti-tank guns, and 3 Panzer IV tanks. You also get a complete rulebook that covers the entire war, updated for version 4. You get a quick start guide, a V1 flying bomb terrain feature, you get 16 unit cards and 20 dice. So all the miniatures that you're seeing here do come in the box, and they make that claim. Well, let's go ahead and let's open this up. Okay, so we open it up, and right away you notice we've got sprues all over the place. So, pretty well packed in there. So let's separate some things out. So we're going to get out the Sherman sprues, and we'll look at those in a minute. We have got German sprues. We have the V1 terrain piece sprues, bag of dice, we've got our bases, and we've got infantry sprues, we've got cards, the rule book, and the get started guide, and that's it. So now let's take a closer look and see what we have here. First up, we're going to look at our American Shermans here. Let's zoom in a little bit on here so you guys can see it. So you can see front and back on here. So you can look at the back here. Alright, and it's a standard M4 Sherman, and it's nice that it's printed in olive drab colored plastic. That does make things a little bit easier. Now you may notice that there are these side skirts here. That is for the British variation of this. You've got a little bit of extra stowage on there that you can go and customize your Sherman. You've got a roll here, you got some track, you got a jerry can, an extra bogey wheel. Okay, now for the turret, you can either magnetize it, okay, or you can use the turret peg on here. This is the 75mm Sherman. It's got the 50 caliber. Your hatches here, you can have them open or shut. Okay, and here you can look at the back side of the Sherman, and I have to say that the pieces do fit pretty well for that. Now, you could choose to have 8 Shermans that are 75mm, or there is the upgrade sprue for 3 of them, which gives you the 76mm Sherman. The advantage the 76mm has, it has a more powerful gun. It did not make it at the Norman. It wasn't there on June the 6th, but it did come not too long after the landings. Okay, so again, this is the version that you would have probably seen in the movie Fury. Okay, the cast hull is a little bit different compared to the regular Sherman. So you can look at, here is the M4 Sherman, and then here, this would be our, whoops, that's a bit of a challenge to get in there. And this is the 76 version, and the hatches here are a little bit different. The hatches here, yeah. The hatches here are a little bit different. Okay, so you have 8 Sherman tanks total on this. Next up, the Germans get 2 of these. This is the 75 millimeter gun, or 7.5 centimeter gun. I grew up with squad leader and advanced squad leader, so I go by millimeters as opposed to centimeters. It's still the same thing. You get the complete gun on the sprue, and you also get the crew, which we'll later find that out. The terrain piece that you could only find in the starter kit. They don't sell these separate. And this is the V1 rocket, otherwise known as the Buzz Bomb. I believe the British referred to it as that. If I'm not, please correct me. Okay. So that would be a very interesting terrain piece to fight for. It would not make an official objective in a regular Flames of War game or a tournament game, but still, it's cool. Now here we have the Panzer IV sprue here, and for this one here, you may notice that you've got the one-track assembly, which is really, really nice. Okay. The bazooka skirts. They like to call them the bazooka skirts. I know them as the Scherzen. Okay, there's 2 versions. You've got one version here that's pristine, coming right off the factory. Okay, and you may notice here's the other version where it's a little bit messed up. The plates are not exactly even, and that's reflecting the wear and tear on the battlefield. Okay. But it is a 75 millimeter gun that the Panzer IV has, and it also has the protection, a little bit of extra protection around the turret. There is a little bit of stowage, not much. You got a couple of tracks here as extra, so you get 3 of those. Okay. Now let's take a look and see what we have here under these sprues. Okay, well, for the first thing here is the American Tank Commander sprue. Okay, this is the hard plastic that if you've worked with models before, there's plenty of those. And here we go. Here is the sprue dealing with German Panzer Grenadiers. It also includes the 75 crew. Okay, put that off to the side. So this is also including, like I said, the 75 millimeter AT crew. It also has some Americans on here, so there's a little bit of a mix here of German Panzer Grenadiers. You've got some crew and American paratroopers. Again, here is the second sprue here, and again you get to see some American. You get to see, I think you get some American. No, these look, yeah, they're Germans. Okay, so these are Germans right here. Okay, and you can see the back down. They also have the Panzer Schreck, and the Americans have their 30 caliber machine gun. They do have a machine gun team here as well. So that's going to be really cool to paint these up and see how they go. Okay, and again, quick mention of the dice. Okay, so again, this is like literally, it's self-contained. Bases. This would have all the bases for you. Now there's a couple of bases that are the large bases. That's for the German anti-tank guns. The medium-sized bases are for your infantry stands. The smaller base would be reflecting command or the Panzer team. That is a difference between Edition 3 and Edition 4 for the Panzer teams. So, let me put this back here, and this is literally a step-by-step instruction as to who goes where, what goes on who, and what stand that they go on, so that you know exactly what stand that there is. It also shows you how to put together the Sherman, okay, whether it is the 75 or the 76 millimeter. You also have the V1 buzz bomb here, the launcher rail, and then you have the flying bomb on here. That did give the British some headaches, because when they landed and hit, that left a mark. On the back, it also shows you again how to put together the Panzer Grenadier Company, okay, with its stands, and then it shows you how to put the Panzer IV together, and it also shows you how to put the AT gun together. And again, it's coded, which will match the coding on the sprue. They have been very, very careful. It's highly visual, but they also have the letter codes on here, and that's a very important thing. I think that's a wonderful thing that they did. Okay, now let's see what they have in the bag here. This is a massive improvement when I first reviewed the Alamein starter set when version 4 came out, that they did not, they just simply did not pack these in plastic. I think they heard. Okay, so what do we have here? First off, we have our unit cards. We have the rulebook. Now, this is the complete rulebook. It is in the A5 format, so it's handy. And then you have the core rules here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at these. Okay, so this is the quick start rules. Wow. So let's take a look here. So what it does, this is a quick way. If you knew nothing about the game, you've never played it before, or maybe you played it at a demonstration at the store and you were convinced to buy this kit, this is a great opportunity. So this gets right to the point. It explains to you about the unit cards, and it's showing you how you conduct movement if you need to make a cross check. Okay, then it goes into shooting. What part of the card do you need for shooting? Okay, and again, they didn't use just American and German, but they also have the Russian here to give you an idea of what that would look like. Okay, then they go shooting at tanks. Okay, so you can see an illustration, again, well illustrated here for that. They are trying to make they're easing you into version 4, and they're making it happen. And then, of course, what happens if you hit versus you don't hit. Okay, there's the armor save, bailed out. It's another way of, it's not necessarily that the crew members jump out of the tank. It's a possibility, but it covers all the other things. Maybe the turret got jammed. Maybe one of the crew members got hit by a piece of metal that broke off inside the tank because of the impact and it got hit. Maybe it's the shock. Maybe there's a lot of different things, but they use the term bail out. It doesn't necessarily mean that all the crew bailed out at the same time. Now, on the other side of the coin, they also look at shooting at infantry. Okay, infantry saves, bulletproof cover, pinned down. Okay, what does that look like? What does that mean? Then they talk about assault, which you have defensive fire, and then fighting in the assault. So they give you a cut down version of it. Okay, then you have counterattack. And then, of course, you know, they get you the tanks in assault. Okay, and then the last stand. Does the team stay or not? So, yeah, this is pretty cool for that. Okay, now let's look at our unit cards here for a moment. We are slowly winding our way down here. So what you notice immediately, this is anticipating future releases. This is for the anticipated D-Day. So here's the Germans, and if you notice that there are 9 possible formations to take. On the back, you notice what can they take in support, and then it gives you the possible movement orders if you so choose to use those. Now, for the Americans, you may notice, hey, you got 14 possible formations. Right, and that has to also do with veteran versus regular, okay? So by the time the Normandy landings were there, you had, let's say, I think it was the 6th Armored Division. They were regular, but the 1st Armored Division were veteran. They were more experienced. They had seen some fighting in North Africa. Okay, same thing about the infantry here. The 4th Infantry Division was relatively inexperienced when they landed in Normandy compared to the big red one, the 1st Infantry Division. They would be veteran, whereas your 4th Infantry would be regular. And again, same thing, what can you take in your movement orders? Okay, real fast here. Let's take a look here. So, for the cards, the Germans give you end up getting a number of cards for the Germans. Now, these are unit cards, which are handy. This also gives you they also give you, again, the movement orders that you can choose. So you have a card for the Panzer IV. Now, typically on the backs of the cards, it will give you point value. It'll tell you any special rules, so that's very nice. You get that for the Panzer IV. You get that for the 75mm AT gun. You get that for your Panzer Grenadier platoon. Okay. You also get one for the Panzer Grenadier platoon. Now, for the Americans, let's see what we have here. We have the M4 Sherman. We have the M4 Sherman Tank Company. We have the M4 Sherman with the 76. Okay, so this is your regular Shermans that you have. Over here you have the M4 Sherman Veteran. You have the Veteran HQ as well, the M476 Veteran as well. Again, you have, here we go. This is what I was wondering about, the Panzer Grenadier Company HQ. So they did it. It got stuck in there. So that's what they have. So literally what they did, they gave a card for each platoon. That's what they did. All right, and then here is your basic parachute rifle platoon. Okay, and then on the back, it gives you your point values. It then gives you options. Okay, and it also gives you the special rules that they have. Okay, rulebook. This is updated compared to when I had the Alamein starter set way back when. It does go through the course of the war. It talks about all the rules that are in there. It talks about the terrain. Okay, pictures, lots of pictures, lots of examples here. Okay, so that you notice, so that you have an easier time understanding things. They did a great job on this. Again, it's very appealing to the eye. They also give a little bit, you know, what about the Americans? Who are the Germans? Who are the Soviets? Who are the British? Okay, and the special rules that you would have. And then they talk about picking your force. What's involved in picking your force? and you go, and they won't literally walk you through it. Missions, okay, they give you that. They tell you how to place objectives, how to pick the missions, okay. Then they the size of a CD, okay. You also have night fighting, okay. You also, if you're not sure which mission to pick, you can roll for it based on your plans. You also have your index, which is always useful. You also have a copy of the quick reference sheet as well. So there you have it. Now you've got a more in-depth look. Take care.